Welcome back, everyone. This is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You are looking at a late 1970s Janome free arm or convertible to a free arm sewing machine. And this particular version, you don't have to convert because it's missing the sewing deck that gave it a flatbed setup where you could use it as a flatbed. And this is true. Many of you will find machines like this where it's missing, but that's okay. They can be put into tables that were designed for free arms if you find the right one. And even if you don't, having a free arm as an extra machine is a very useful thing to have. There can be many times when it's helpful. You don't have to have one. Our ancestors sewed for, gosh, more than 100 years without them, but it is certainly useful. Now, I last left you all, if you were following along with me, you had your machine apart if you were following along, and you can see all the pieces and the tools I have here. And I did this because I wanted to do I wanted to focus on this topic in a series of videos instead of putting it into a video that could have run, God, an hour and a half, and that's long even for me and my video speed here. So what we will do today is I'm going to show you, we're just going to put the stuff back. And again, I know that some people, those of you who are new to this, it may be like, oh no, how am I going to put this back together? Because as I have mentioned to you all and emphasized, sewing machines are particular. They're not difficult, but they are designed to work in a certain way with certain settings, and their parts go in a certain order. It's not hard, but if you miss a step, the machine, there's a pretty good chance you won't break the machine or harm it, but the machine will not work. It will sit there stubbornly waiting for you to figure out what you did and how to undo it. Or in this case, we needed to take this apart, of course, to service it, and we're going to put it back. So we have put a very modest amount of tiny little droplets of oil on the race rim here. And of course we do that because our hook needs to ride on that space. Now, this is a class 15 shuttle system, and this is the hook that it uses. And we're going to, this is kind of an awkward angle for me to do this, but we're going to put this in here. Now, again, make sure your machine's not plugged in. Don't be goofy and have a plugged-in machine. That's not safe. You never do that anytime you're working on a machine, no matter what you're doing. Okay, we have the hook, and you're going to put this in, and it goes. Let's change the side of this. That'll be helpful. Now, here's your shuttle. Okay, your hook is like the other half of a pie, and so it's going to go into the machine, and it's going to set on the race, but it can only go in on that other half. You can't put it on top of the shuttle. It won't work. The shuttle is taking up, pull that out and show you again. The shuttle is taking up part of the raceway, or the raceway. And then your hook is going to go like this, not like that. It goes in, and you'll know it because it'll seat. It'll kind of just, it'll seat flat, and you'll know it's in there. Now, if I turn the hand wheel, it'll pop out, or eventually it might pop out. Maybe not. It might be that little film of oil is holding it on there, but it's not meant to work like that, and it will not function like this, okay? It'll flop out. But right now it's kind of just sitting there and behaving. Next, we want to put our race cover back on. Now, putting this cover on is not difficult. It only goes on one way. It doesn't go like this. The little notch that you see here at 12 o'clock always goes at 12 o'clock. It goes upright. This is the upright way to install it. And sometimes you'll see a little nub here at the bottom that kind of helps you anchor it in place. So I'm going to take it with my hand. I want to try to show you all as much of this as I can and get it in there. Okay. Oh, by the way, make sure that your feed, it might help if your feed dog is in the up position or the high position. Now, let's see if I've got it in there. Okay, you will know that the race cover, I'm going to tilt this back, give you guys a little bit better view of this, because it's kind of a weird angle. Let me zoom back in. Okay, there we go. All right, so I put this in. Let me pull it out and do it again for you. Okay, now you'll notice the hook kind of moved, so make sure your hook is flush. It'll want to wiggle on you sometimes, but that's all right. You take this, you've got the nub at the bottom or the base of your race cover, this ring, and you're going to find there's a little slot in the very bottom here that helps. It's there to help you line this up so you get it right. So it's kind of dummy proof, not klutz proof, as I've been able to prove to you, but it is kind of dummy proof. There it is. It sits there, and you'll notice that the notch is at 12 o'clock or close to it. 11:55, we'll call that. Okay. Now you can go ahead and move your flippers back. Now when you do move your flipper back, I call it the flipper. It's really a retention clip for your race cover, so it doesn't go flopping on you. You will feel it come over toward this little nub on the cover on the ring, and it'll want to stop, but you can push it and you'll hear a little click, and it'll click into place. So you can see me doing this on this side. Let's zoom in. Okay, so I've got this one, and I'm going toward the ring, and I'm just going to push. Again, it'll push against you, but keep pushing, and you'll hear a little click. That's how you know it's on there. Now, when you turn, and I've got a needle in the machine here, go ahead and turn the hand wheel, and you'll notice so far everything is happy. It's not fussy. It's not complaining. So we should have it. And I can already tell, you can't really see this on the video, but when I first was turning the hand wheel, I'm getting a much smoother turn. The machine is already sort of getting to take a break. You know, it's getting to not work quite as hard because it's not working against all that lint. Well, I say all that lint, the lint and the old oil. You know, this is a real machine, and it really appreciates getting some service. Now, I promised you all we would take a look at the bobbin, the bobbin case. All right, let's move back out a bit here. Okay, so you are looking at a bobbin, class 15 bobbin case and a class 15 bobbin, which still has thread on it. Now, I picked it up, and of course the bobbin, it just fell right out, which is designed to do. If you pull on this little hinge spring, that will hold it in place. But because I haven't really inspected this bobbin case yet, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, where are my scissors? I don't have my scissors with me at the moment. So I'm going to take, got to zoom out. I really want you guys to see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I've got the bobbin. I've got there's a thread hanging on the front of the bobbin case, okay, and that was the thread tail that was used when it was being sewn with. The thread that's coming in behind, which is attached to my actual bobbin, I'm gonna pull that apart, or you can use your scissors. Now, this is kind of you guys may remember when I was talking to you in an earlier video, you always remove any piece of thread in your bobbin case, pull it away from the front, because that's the direction it was threaded originally, okay? And that's okay. The bobbin, and you'll feel it pulling, you'll feel some resistance, and that's the spring in the bobbin case. The bobbin case and its spring is very important because that's your bottom thread tension. If you pull the thread out from the back side of the bobbin case, you will make that spring unhappy. Now, many people have done it before, but the bobbin case doesn't like it. And if you want to extend the life of your bobbin case, always pull the thread find the thread hanging on the front of the bobbin case if there is any, and pull it away from the front, not from the back. Okay, here we go. We have our empty bobbin case. You never know what you're going to see in here, usually nothing. If your machine has been sitting out in a garage, you might have some rust in it. Who knows? Or you might have some old oil. Let's see. I think I've got some natural light here. Okay, I'll get it up close. You guys can see it. It's mostly nothing particularly special to see in there. But I'm going to take my lint brush and see if there's any lint in there. There might be. I think I actually do see some in there. The lint is not a light color. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little tough for you to see. It's tough for me to see. But I'm going to get my little soft end of my brush and I'm going to put it down in there. And I'm getting something out of there. It's very small. I don't even think it'll pick up on camera. But check yours. Okay, and you may want to get a bright light. I'm in good natural light. Here we go. Now, I'm going to take a cotton swab dipped in alcohol, and I'm just going to take it and gently, just sort of, you know, as if I were washing out a bowl. And I'm just going to take it around, and you'll see some grime come out of there. And this 91% alcohol will evaporate pretty quickly, but you can dry it if you want. Now, come back to the front, guys, and look at the front of the bobbin case. I'm going to take my cotton swab and alcohol, and I'm going to check it, because this area, this one's very clean. Sometimes you'll see old oil, and it may look like rust. It could be, but usually it's old yellowed or golden colored, amber colored oil. Just a real tiny bit came off on here. I don't see a ton. Now, I want to demonstrate this to you. When you pull back on this lever, do you guys see that there's movement in the bobbin case? Look at, where's my pointer? Come here, pointer. Look at this area right here, okay? You've got the side of the bobbin case, and then you've got this little next step, that first step, and then you have the lever. I'm going to hold this as still as I can, and I want you guys to watch. Now, when I pull up on the lever, watch that first step next to the edge of the bobbin case. See if we get some focusing going on here. Now watch it. Watch how it moves. You see that? Did you guys see how it moved? Watch, that little first step is actually going to move to my left. That moves because there is movement going on in your bobbin case. Your bobbin case doesn't look like very much. In fact, it looks like, you know, like half of a bird's egg or something. But there's actually a spring in here, and it has tension, obviously, because there are tension adjustments on the bobbin case. That's a video for another time. But why am I going on and on about this thing with the bobbin case? Because some of you will have a bobbin case, and when you go to move this lever, it will be stiff, and sometimes they break. And the reason that happens is that they were not lubricated. Some of you will have old sewing machine manuals that will tell you this. I'm pretty willing to bet that the Janome, if I haven't seen its manual, but there's a good chance it doesn't say squat about this. I'm going to take my little micro oiler, but don't worry if you don't have a micro oiler. And I'm going to put one little drop of, I don't want it to leak on me yet. I'm going to put one little drop right down here. Let me show you where I'm putting it. I'm putting it right there on the very edge. Okay, so I put it right here. So if I look at it in profile, I put that little drop of oil right there on the very edge. Now, when I pull up on the lever, watch what happens. Now that lever is moving across where I just put the oil. Okay, now I'm going to take the same little oiler, or you just take your oil bottle, whatever you got. If you have an oil bottle that has a big spout and you don't want to flood this thing with oil, you can get like a toothpick or even just a straight pin or a sewing needle, and take it and dip it into your sewing machine oil, and you can kind of do a makeshift little micro oiler, because you're not going to do this very often. Now, notice, I got a point again here. This little lever has a hinge, and that hinge is right there. I'm going to take my micro oiler and I'm going to put a drop of oil right on that little hinge. Now, watch this. Now, we're going to turn the bobbin case around, because we're not done yet. You didn't think it was going to be this much to oil a bobbin case, did you? Fortunately, you don't have to do this nearly as often as you would the actual machine. Okay, guys, hang in there with me. We're almost done. So, when I pull this lever back, now, look to the left. Do you see the little, there's like a little notch about 6 o'clock. There's a notch there. and I've got the lever pulled back. Now watch what happens. When I let go of the lever, you see the notch? It's moving. And it's moving because this whole piece underneath is actually sliding. Watch. There's a sliding going on there, and that's why you need to oil this little spot. So I'm going to, this is going to be an ergonomic acrobatic trick. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to pull the lever back. Okay, I'm literally riffing this as I speak, so we'll see how this works. Now, don't pull too hard. You don't want to be too hard on this little spring. Okay, now watch what I do. I'm going to put a drop, maybe even one drop on either side of that notch, and then I'm going to let go. Now, when I go to touch this lever, watch. Now, both sides, this should basically, we'll look underneath here. Now, I don't know if this will pick up for you guys, because I'm trying to show you something that's literally inside the bobbin case, but let's try it. Okay, look in the light, guys. I'm pulling underneath. I've got that lever in my finger. Now watch. Did you see that? There's like a little hinge in there that's moving. And I'm going to come behind myself, and I am now going to, where did my light go? I had some good light there. Okay, I'm going to put a drop there and one drop underneath here. So now I have completely oiled this bobbin case, or I think I have. Now watch. When I pull back, I hear that little clicking. Let's get it close to the microphone so you can hear it. Oops. This is a way to basically, this is preventative maintenance, okay? Your bobbin case is a lot more sophisticated little device than we give it credit for. It just looks like this little thing you put, it just looks like a little home for your bobbin. But in fact, your bobbin case is essentially doing for your lower sewing thread what your tension assembly is doing for your upper thread. It's a very important part of your sewing machine, and it doesn't always get the respect that it deserves. I've seen people try to sew with these, and sometimes they're rusted, they're corroded, they haven't had any lubrication, they're full of lint. And if your machine will sew that way, you know, it certainly is a credit to the engineering of the machine, but they're not meant to. These machines don't have to be maintained in any kind of heavy, time-intensive way. What you just saw me do, that's going to be good for a good long while. The normal oiling that you do for your machine when you're using it to sew is going to come in the sewing, in the different areas that your manual will often explain to you. And that, of course, has to do with the main drivetrain mechanisms of the machine when you are working away to try to sew on a project. And a lot of times the manual or somebody like me will say, hey, when you start a project, oil your sewing machine. They're not necessarily talking about your bobbin case. But if your bobbin case has never been tended to, it sure would appreciate it if you would give it the care that it was meant to have, and it will work better for you. You will get better tension control, and it will last a lot longer. Can you get replacements for these? Yes, but you know, why treat them as disposable objects? They're not. This is a beautifully machined piece of equipment, and it's amazing how long they will last when they're given. You know, what you just saw me do should make this bobbin case good to go for quite some time, and it's going to really extend its life. So I might as well put the bobbin back in before I leave you guys for the moment. Again, you've seen this in other videos, I think in my troubleshooting video maybe, but anyway, I'll show you again. I'm right-handed, so if you are, you'll hold the bobbin case in your left hand. I like to put my index finger on the little ear of the case, or the finger of the case, I don't know, depends on what you call it. Again, like almost every Class 15 bobbin case, you're going to take your bobbin with thread, and you're going to let the thread hang off the right side, and the thread has been wound clockwise. Again, you'll only use a vintage metal bobbin because we know what happens when we use new metal bobbins. It doesn't work very well. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to simply insert it right in there. I am going to take the thread and I'm going to notice there's a little tiny slit in the top of the bobbin case right here. Okay, and I've got my thread below it. So once you've got your thread and it's hanging clockwise, you're going to then pull it backwards. And that makes sense because the slit in the top of your bobbin case is angled. And as I pull the thread up, it's going to slide underneath a sleeve that's on top of your bobbin case, and it's going to rest in this little valley of a spot right there. Okay? And then, don't let your bobbin go or it'll plop out. I'm going to let the thread tail that I've pulled into the bobbin case, I'm going to let it rest. And it's going to hang right there, just like a little ponytail. And then I'm going to insert the bobbin case. You can hold the little flap open that I was showing you how to lubricate. You're going to put it here. Now, let me let it rest there for just a second. I'm going to lower this because I want you to see how I'm inserting it. Okay, I wanted you to get a better angle on this because photographing a sewing machine and videotaping it is a videotape. Making a video of a sewing machine is a little awkward because of the position of the equipment. So, remember the little finger that is on your bobbin case, and remember the little notch in the top of the race cover, which is sitting right there. That is also a way to make it idiot-proof so that you put it in the right spot, because it only goes in one way. Okay, so I'm going to take the bobbin case out. I've got the little lever in my hand so the bobbin doesn't fall out. I'm going to pull the lever out and hold it. Don't pull it hard, just hold it in your fingers like that. I'm going to take the bobbin case and I'm going to come in and take that little ear or finger on the bobbin case, line it up with the notch in the cover of the race and put her right in there. Now, sometimes it might be a little fussy, and you'll know this because, watch, I'm turning this and the bobbin case is in properly. I can tell it's not going anywhere. It's locked in and it won't come out again until I pull on this flap and I pull it out. Now, sometimes you might have a bobbin case that's fussy. Maybe you haven't oiled it, or maybe it's just having it's just not wanting to seat. Okay, if that happens to you, and you put it in, let's say you think you've got it in, it's lined up. Okay, and what will happen is you'll have the bobbin case in place. And it'll look like, you don't see this here, but the ear, the little finger will be in the notch. You'll turn your sewing machine and it'll do this. And a lot of times, of course it doesn't want to fall out now that I'm showing you this, but it'll roll out. It'll just roll out like a little ball because it's not seated, okay? So again, the machine speaks to you. You don't actually need software to tell you when your bobbin case isn't in right because it tells you. But those of you who are new to this is why I'm covering this, guys. I wanted those of you who are new to not be afraid of a bobbin case. People can be like, oh gosh, I can't get the bobbin case in. This is an analog machine. It's made very well. And they speak to you when they're not happy. When the setting isn't right, you will know because the sewing machine will complain. And it will eventually lead you to places like YouTube if you're new, and you'll figure it out. So don't let it frustrate you. If you get frustrated sometimes when you're working on a machine, maybe it's yours, maybe you're trying to learn the hobby of sewing machine restoration overhaul, just, you can walk away from it and come back to it later. Sometimes you'll get an insight when you step away from the machine. Anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. I wanted to use this machine as an example to show you all some of the procedures that I use when I'm overhauling machines. This is just one section of the machine. And but anyway, that is the Janome hybrid vintage sewing machine. I'll put on the video description. It has a model number on the back. But the most important thing to talk about is the fact that you can take a machine that is part metal and part not, and if it's not broken and those plastic parts are still functioning, let's keep them going. In spite of all the videos I've got, I haven't invested that many hours in this, and we will probably be getting a few more video installments made on this machine. I'm actually kind of surprised how many videos I've been wanting to create with it. I really wasn't looking for that, but you just never know. I appreciate all of you watching and subscribing to my channel. If you haven't, feel free to. And you can click on the little bell symbol there, and it will let you know when a new video is posted. Thanks so much, folks.